Welcome to the Ultimate Property Management Virtual Masterclass brought to you by Real Estate Investor. This is day 2 of our 2-day virtual masterclass, which is officially sponsored by WeconnectU, developers of intelligent property management software to enable you to scale and deliver more value to your clients. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Neil Peterson. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief of Real Estate Investor. And we've been serving the South African residential and commercial real estate industry for almost 14 years now through our digital magazine, live events, online content, videos, podcasts, and webinars with insights, education, expert tips, and investment opportunities for newbie and savvy investors, home buyers, landlords, developers, and for all of you, the property professionals and practitioners in the industry. And I'm really excited and honored to be your host and moderator for this virtual masterclass today. Management, the future of rental portfolio management, and we're talking specifically for rental agents, property managers, and investors. So property management today is probably the most critically important factor in owning and investing in property today. I mean, lockdown has been a big catalyst in shifting property managers to becoming more tech-enabled in operating their businesses, and it is critical for more efficiency and, most importantly, to deliver more value for your clients. Many detractors say that property managers lack innovation, and if they don't embrace PropTech, they will certainly die. And there has been an influx of several tech companies disrupting the property management space recently, and it promises to transform the old traditional real estate industry as we know it. And today we will introduce you to some of those experts, innovators, and thought leaders of property management solutions and PropTech that you need to consider to automate and grow your business. So Real Estate Investor and WeConnectU have a common goal over the next 2 days, which is to fast-track PropTech usage in the property management space area. So, and we've got to thank WeConnectU for sponsoring today's event. Thank you to you guys. And we have a stellar lineup of real estate business experts and thought leaders for you. I'd like to introduce our first speaker. He studied at Stellenbosch University. He qualified in 2002 with a BSc Human Science degree. He joined one of the top 10 multinational pharmaceutical firms where he held various positions such as product manager, group product manager, and ended as the head of marketing for sub-Saharan Africa. Or maybe he can help us with the vaccine as well. So he ended his corporate career in 2011 and joined his family in the property management industry. And in 2017, he started WeConnectU with his brother, Donnie. And we saw Donnie yesterday on our day 1 webinar and on the community management sector. His name is Johann van der Merwe, and he currently holds the position of Managing Director of WeConnectU. They are our sponsors for today. And the topic of his first presentation this morning is why you need to become a rental asset manager.
The topic for today is rental asset management, the future of rental portfolio management. And my first topic for today is asking the question, why you need to become a rental asset manager. What is this thing called the rental asset manager, and why is this so critically important for the health of my business as a portfolio manager today going forward? To unpack this question, I'm going to take quite a few steps back and ask a very basic question. And maybe the REMAC team can maybe run that poll for us now. The question that I would like to ask the audience today to start off with is, what kind of industry do you think you're in? And hopefully now, there we go, there's the poll. I'm going to give you 2 seconds just to quickly look at the poll, and you guys can quickly answer what you think the answer is to this very basic and simple question. Now, I'm not going to wait for the results. I'm going to carry on with the discussion, and we'll see the results in a moment. But I would typically assume that most of you would have said, well, it's obvious, you know, it's a very stupid question. We are in the property management industry. And I'm going to differ from you slightly this morning in saying that, yes, that might be part of our industry, but ultimately we are in the service industry. So ultimately you get paid for a service that you deliver. And yes, you do deliver the service within the property management market. I think the poll came out, I was 100% right. Most of you said property management, and then I see there's a few very, very smart ones that said, no, we are in the service industry, so well done. All right, so if we then agree that we are in the service industry and we're getting paid for a service, and yes, we do deliver the service within the property management industry, let's take to the next step to try to unpack again. We're all going to try to answer the question, why is it so critically important that we become rental asset managers? Now, if we can agree, which I hope we did, that we are all in the service business, there are three things that a service business must get right. I know there's probably more than three, but I would like to say the three most important things that will definitely help us to answer that critical question of why should I become a rental asset manager should be addressed on the three things that a property management business or a service business must get right. Those three things are, number one, your offering, meaning your service. What do you deliver and how do you deliver it? Are you solving a problem or are you addressing a key need in the market? Is it a compelling value offering or value proposition that the market wants or needs? And hopefully what you're offering is slightly unique that you can differentiate yourself within the market. The second thing as a service business that you must get right is you have to manage your client's experience. We do not sell a product that the client can take home and obviously enjoy at home. We have to manage the way we make our client feel when they are interacting with our service offering or our service, our value offering. And that will comprise to the client's customer experience. So how do they feel when they interact with us? And then lastly, and probably the most important thing, is the good and very important value exchange. Can we build a service that I can sell to a market, a customer out there, in a profitable way? And probably more important, are there a market that's willing to pay for my service that I'm offering at the price that I'm putting it? And are they getting value for that exchange? Now, again, these are the three things I would like to unpack to answer the question, why it is so critical, important to become a rental asset manager. So let's start with the first one that I mentioned, your unique offering. Now, to discuss and understand why the offering is so important and what it should be ultimately, there's two things we all have to agree upon. First of all, who is our customer? Secondly, what's their needs? Again, it might sound like very mundane and obvious questions that we should all quite easily be able to answer. But let's see if we're really all on the same page about who our customer is and what their needs are. So let's say this is our customer. Now, if I ask you guys who this is and who's your customer, again, if we had to run a poll and ask you who it is, I think then one name that will come up most often is, well, it's my landlord. And you're not completely wrong, but ultimately, your client is an investor that has decided, for whatever reason, to invest the amount of money into an asset class called property, and he's an investor. And he's got certain needs. So let's agree that, yes, you could probably refer to your investor as a landlord, but ultimately he's an investor, and an investor has got certain very unique needs that would like to be addressed. Now, if this investor or this landlord walks into your office after they've bought maybe their first or their second investment property, what do you think is it that you have to communicate to him as the investor to address his core needs? Meaning, what value offering should you communicate to get the business? Now, typically, I would assume that the following things are mentioned to this investor when he walks into the office and say, well, what, Mr. Property Manager, would you do for me to get my business? The typical answer to that question would be, well, I think they want me to tell them to find them a tenant. They want me to collect their rent for them. They want me to do some maintenance management for them, manage their arrears, and potentially do their lease management for them. So I believe today, this is what we think as a market our clients' needs are. To prove my point that that is what the market currently believes, I've taken, and I didn't add the logo here because of obvious reasons, but I've taken a copy paste from a website of a property manager. It states the following: we are very proud to offer the following competitive service. We can sign a mandate. We advertise your property. We can do a credit check. We draw up a lease. We collect your deposit, and we collect monthly rentals. And the sheet went on. I didn't copy the whole page, but most property managers' websites look something like this. If we ask them or look at what services do they offer, that basically proves my point that we thought or we think that this is our client, the investor's primary needs, because our offering that we communicate on our websites and on our brochures refer to finding tenants, collecting rent, etc. I would like, however, today to say I don't think that's their core needs. Their core needs as an investor is ultimately the following few items. Ultimately, when they walk into your office and say, well, what do you do for me as a property manager? What they ultimately would like to hear is, well, we can optimize your return on your investment. Because with a property professional, we can reduce the risk of your investment. Because with a professional, we can guide you in growing your portfolio. And through our reporting, we can enable you to make good investment decisions. I don't think that we kind of realize the importance of the needs that's ultimately, as an investor, that is what they would like to hear. And if we agree that that is the ultimate needs of the investor, then maybe we should really look at our value offering, and it should look something like this and say, we are rental asset managers. We focus on growing your investment. You can partner with us because we've got years of experience in managing these assets. How we do it might be marketing and maintenance management, but that's just how we do it. What we do ultimately as a market is, or as an asset manager, is we manage your asset. I think this is a fundamental first point. We're looking at just our offering to prove the point that you have to become a rental asset manager to maintain a healthy business within the service industry, to address your clients' core and most important needs, and are able to run and build a healthy business. Let's look at the second point I referred to earlier. Manage your client's experience. So let's look at our customer experience within the property management market, and let's compare ourselves to another market that we kind of indirectly compete with. So there's our investor. Let's just make an example. They've got 2 million rand they would like to invest. The first R1 million, they are going to invest into a financial asset class. And the second million, they're going to invest in property. And let's just see how this investment experience compares between the two of them. So let's just say the investor walks into one of these financial asset manager houses. He will be met by an asset manager. In that first meeting, the asset manager would try to understand the client's risk profile. He would try to understand the client's expected returns. And together, during that first meeting, they're going to try to design an investment strategy for the client based on those two aspects. Quarterly, at least, that asset manager would send the client a quarterly investment report that would report back on return on investment and typically some market trends within which the client's investment is lying. And then at least annually, there will be an annual investment review report and typically a discussion over coffee about the return of the client did get over the last 12 months and plan, and again, a strategy for the next 12 months, again, addressing the risk profile and expected returns of the client. If we can then say it's exactly the same client with exactly the same needs, but they've decided to diversify their portfolio and invest into a different asset class called the property asset class. Let's look at the investment experience today in this asset class. Well, firstly, in the property manager market, we've got this magic trick that within the first 5 seconds, once the guy walks into our office, we change him to a landlord because that's the way we communicate and treat him. Secondly, the first meeting really revolves around, we will find you a good tenant. Then monthly, we send our clients typical distribution statements, not investment statements. We typically request more monies for maintenance. And usually, unfortunately, here by the 5th of the month, the client phones us and say, I haven't heard from you. I haven't received my rent. What's happening? And then potentially once a year, there might be a rent escalation or even a vacancy discussion. Now, if we agree that we are talking to an investor as a client, it is the same client with, in principle, the same core needs, but just have decided to invest into two different asset classes. I think we have to agree as a market that the journey at the top and the journey at the bottom is definitely not the same experience. And then we as a property management market, unfortunately, are fundamentally failing to meet our clients' core needs. So what is then the difference between the journey at the top and the journey at the bottom? Let's first speak about the journey at the bottom. We are finding the best tenants for the land of the investor. We are doing the best rent collection, and I can carry on. And all of these things that we do is very important to add value to the client's asset and ensure growth and return on investment of his investment. What then is the big difference between us at the bottom and the guys at the top? Well, I would like to say it's a single button. A single button that enables the guys at the top, the financial asset managers, to communicate and report their value different than ours, and communicate and report to meet the client's needs based on the way they package the value that they've added to the client's asset. And that button looks something like this, a button that enables you as the property manager to communicate and report on the key performance matrix of property, which is yield, capital growth, and ROI. If you are then enabled, after all the other things you also do and must do to add value to the client's asset or investment, and are just enabled to package your value differently, your client would definitely change the way they perceive your value, number one, and without a doubt, start seeing you as the rental asset manager and not just as the person who finds them a tenant and maybe do some collection. So to address the second point about manage your client's experience, I think it is critically important and fundamental that we as a market should change the way the client experience our offering. A critical way to change this experience is to package and communicate our value better and slightly different than we've done in the past. We have to, going forward, start communicating and reporting based on what the client's core needs are. Because based on this, they can see their return on investment in your hands. They can see, hopefully, how you've reduced their risk. They can see and how you can help them to grow their portfolio. And this reporting would help them to make important and intelligent investment decisions. Now, lastly, I spoke about the value exchange. And I'm going to use a slide that Donnie discussed yesterday that I think is a fundamental point to really drive home the value exchange. So if I maybe can ask you before I go to my next slide is, how often do you get involved in the commission discussion with regards to your service offering? Well, if you are doing that, you have to ask the following question. You get paid based on the relation to the perceived value that your client believes you bring to the marketplace. So if we are continuously getting into a commission discussion with our clients, what the client actually is telling us is, I'm not feeling I'm getting what I pay for. This is a critical thing, because unless the client feels that you get the perceived value, he potentially would not opt to continue to pay for that value offerings and service that you provide. That, for me, poses a massive risk. So let me close off and explain that massive risk. So if we today believe that we are rental agents and we are supposed just to find tenants and collect rent, I would like to tell you and maybe warn you that everything you do your client, the investor, can do for free or basically for free online, meaning you are replaceable. So unless we change the way we package our value, because I've done this job myself, I know how incredibly hard you guys work, how incredibly significant amount of value you do add to the client's investment. But if we don't change the way we communicate and report our value, our client might, and potentially it's already becoming our biggest competitor. So the future should look different. The future should be that you become a rental asset manager to ensure that the client get a unique value offering, that the client's experience of your service is unbelievable and compared to the other investment classes that he's got money invested. And critically important, that they are very willing to pay for that very professional service you offer. As you all know, most property investors only have one investment property, which unfortunately doesn't make them seasoned property investors. So yes, your role is secure in the market, I believe. But the way you package your value are definitely going to have to change to ensure that you are going to get paid for that value that you offer and to make sure you've got a compelling value offering. So I would like to end my presentation with the last quote of a very famous man. Unfortunately, this is not my quote. But he said, you've got to start with the customer experience and then work back towards technology. This guy is a very famous guy. It was Uncle Steve Jobs. And I think this is a profound statement he's made in the decision that you as a property manager got to make going forward. The first thing is, let's make sure that we all agree that the future of this market is we have to become rental asset managers. And based on that, you guys can work back and make important decisions to help grow and build a healthy service business. Thank you very much.